Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
All right, it's 3:30, man. We're here, Tampa, Florida. You're listening to Auto Dealer Live. I'm Dave Villa.
I'm Dave Cribbs.
And you're listening to the show where dealers go. And we're happy to actually bring back a topic today that's been in great demand. I don't think we really had a chance to finish it, Dave. I don't really know if we'll finish it today because it's a topic that, honestly, after listening to the first group of gentlemen, I believe they were all guys that were on the show a couple of weeks ago, we really didn't come to any resolution. Not that we ever do, and I think Danny Benitez, says it the best. We speak sometimes and we, in generalities, like we just, hey, this is the way it should be, or that's the way it needs to be. And I think Danny has a very good perspective. And I hate to compliment Danny. I'm complimenting Danny Benitez, but I mean, he has a great perspective in reality. Either that or he's afraid of confrontation. I can't figure out which one it is, Danny. Right. But he'll have a chance to defend himself and agree with everybody else.
Well, this is an age-old topic. This is nothing new. This has been controversial since the road to the sale began. And as we evolve in the car business and with the customer experience being such a hot focal point, there's going to be debates on this. So, I'm curious to see what develops today on the show and see if any of us change our minds.
Yeah, we used an image that's pretty interesting because there's about 8 million roads on it, and my OCD was pinging, looking
right
at that. But I mean, we'll see if we can actually untangle it. It's like, there's some things that are hard to untie if they're in a knot. I don't think there's anything in my experience that's any harder than like a necklace, like a gold necklace. You ever had your kid bring you like a little, a little necklace, and hey, daddy, here, this balled up into like a,
that or Christmas lights.
Yeah, you're like, hey, it's going to take me about 6 hours to undo this. You go to the store and buy a new one. You just bring it back and go, here you go, daddy did it. Yeah, you're a hero. But I mean, maybe we can untie it. Maybe we can untie it and. But if anybody would know, really honestly, the evolution of roads. Danny, you'll appreciate this. I mean, Cribbs, when you started, it was a dirt road to a sale, correct? Pretty much, right?
Yeah, that's cute, Dave. That's cute.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. No.
With a stagecoach?
Not so much. No, there were electric vehicles when I started. Okay. Yeah, it might have been a while back, but yeah.
So is the road to the sale dead?
In my opinion, absolutely not. Now,
is the road to the sale under construction? Just do a minute of rapid fire.
You argue a little bit there.
Let me do a little rapid fire for
you.
Ready? Rapid fire. Okay, so is the road to the sale dead? Yes or no?
No.
Is the road to the sale under construction?
Possibly.
Are there more than one roads to the sale?
Possibly.
I mean, okay.
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, there's, if you go by the traditional road to the sale, the steps, we'll call them the 10 steps, for example. I don't see any way to remove any of the steps. I think at some point, no matter what your process looks like, you are addressing each step in some way. That is my point.
Let me ask you though, man, the question, and we're going to be bringing the guys on here in just a minute. How much time we have, Mike? 2 minutes? Okay. So we're going to bring them on here in 2 minutes. But I guess let me ask this question. Is part of that, Dave, you being stuck in your way, is part of that, some would say, hey, you know what, man, you're just refusing to let this road to the sale ideology of the car business, good old boy syndrome go.
Well,
what do you got to say to that?
I don't think so. I think that true car guys and gals are really amazing at finding solutions. And, all the new tools that we have to create solutions and different angles that we can use and approaches that maybe speed things up or make things better for the customer and kind of answer and solve some problems for us, I am all for that. I'm going to use every tool in my arsenal to make that happen. But again, no matter what tool you're using, there's still every step in the road to the sale has to be addressed. I mean, you still have to meet someone somehow, whether you're doing it online or in person. I mean, you still have to find out, what it is they need, what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, all these things have to occur regardless of where they're occurring. I'm all for speeding it up. I'm all for creating a better perspective.
Are you for
experience.
adding exit ramps? Are you for, when we look at construction on technical and real roads, what used to get you to Orlando from Tampa, now they have the expressway, they have a toll road.
Here's what I'm not
they have
for.
a detour, they have this, they have that. I mean, there used to be one road to Orlando. I mean, period. You were going I-4, come hell high water, and God forbid you ran into, the Orlando traffic at the wrong time because you'd be sitting there for an hour. Now they have a toll road that'll take you on bypass, and there's people that are cheap that don't want to spend $2 to go around, where others go, hey, I'm in.
I think that there's I think there's a stereotype here or some type of misconception that when you talk about the road to the sale, that you're not going to bring a current experience that buyers are demanding, the way that a buyer wants to purchase a car. I'm all for creating that type of experience for the customer, but once again, I don't want a tool or a process or something to replace what it is that is just essential. Like, for example,
are we ready, Mike? Go ahead.
For example, if a customer wants to do here's a great example. I just bought a car a few days ago. Imagine that again. So I went online and it was an easy process. I hit the button to reserve the car. I went there and put my hands on the car and could have gone straight into finance, but I drove the car and here's the thing. If I had gone straight into finance and I maybe was not someone that is on the business side of the business, if you will, if I was just a consumer that really wasn't a part of the car business, had I done that, I mean, I just think that that it opens issues in finance. I can remember times when I saw a customer go into finance because they did not want to drive the car, and then they would come out to take delivery of the car
and say, I didn't even drive it,
and then all of a sudden they didn't want to drive the car, but all of a sudden it's like the salesperson's going over the delivery with the customer, and all of a sudden they're like, well, where is the CD player? Well, there's not a CD player in this model. Well,
right.
What do you mean there's not a CD player in this model? I thought they were standard.
So, all right. So
Maybe
I'm interested.
You should have looked at the car.
Right.
Yeah. So just things like that. I mean, and there's a million different scenarios, but that's
Jim
just
Ziegler tweeted out and said, by the way, Danny Benitez has a new profile photo on Auto Dealer Live. Danny, I can't see what that photo is, but I can only imagine. Mike the Car Guy, access to wealth of information has only made consumers more confused. They still need the road to the sale. So got interesting perspectives on both sides. Without further ado, we've got 3 guests on the show today. But before we do that, guys, real quick on the Tweeter Leader, one of we're giving out a swag pack today for the top influencer. But one of the top influencer, in addition to giving out swag to multiple top influencers, we're going to do this. I'm kind of springing this on everyone. We're going to give you an article in August Dealer Solutions magazine.
Wow.
It goes out to 12,000 dealers, dealer principals, and general managers across the nation, and we're going to,
Wow.
It's got to be approved, obviously, but we're going to give you an article in the magazine, and so for August, and we've been getting a ton of content. As a matter of fact, just before I stepped in, there was an email that came in where someone submitted an article, so we want to appreciate you guys, and we do vet them and look at them. We do have tons of great content, including one of our esteemed guests today on the show. I'm excited to have Mark on. So without further ado, let's bring him on. But hashtag is Auto Dealer Live, by the way. Let's blow it up. The top influencers are going to win a ton of stuff. We're talking about roads with an S.
Roads
to the sale. We have Danny Benitez back in full swing today. He's a regular contributor here. Also has a segment, Who's Your Danny? And we have Mark Tewart, a national trainer in the automotive industry where he has a heart and a specialty in the subject of the road to the sale. It means something to him, and he wants to weigh in. And we also have on the blacktop today, matter of fact, we had 2 other salespeople that had to bow out at the last minute.
They found the road to the sale.
They were on a road to the sale. We have Jared Drake back again from Bartow Ford. And gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being with us. So I'm excited that we have a general manager, we have a national trainer, and then we have one of the top Ford salespeople in the state of Florida with us today. So guys, thanks for being with us as we continue the discussion on roads to the sale. Danny, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How's it going, man?
I am doing wonderful. Mark, how are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Great. And Jared, man, I know you're not with us on video, but thanks for joining us, man. And how you doing today?
Man, I'm pumped up, ready to do this, man. Glad to be back.
Awesome. Danny, I'm going to start the questions here. Actually, Cribbs wasn't expecting this, but Danny, just a rapid fire. Danny, who closes more deals, Cribbs or Benitez?
Probably Cribbs.
Oh, Danny.
He just laid down.
Hey, man, I know he closed the deal on that shirt, so I figured he could do anything.
I'll let you kick it off, man. Well, thanks, guys, for being on the show today.
Thanks, Danny. I
No
appreciate
problem.
that. I want to go over to Mark, and Mark, one of the reasons that your input is so valuable here is you're a national sales trainer, and really process and the road to the sale is a huge part of training when it comes to dealers. So what are you seeing? I know you've been in the business like me for a while. What are you seeing as far as transitions, and what do you approve of or disapprove of?
Well, this is not a new topic. I wrote an article that was published, I think, 15 years ago that said the road to the sale is broken. It's not dead, but it is broken. And with all the transparency, we have to meet the customer where they're at. So what I'm seeing is you can't just go 1 through 10 or 7 or 12. You have to start with where the customer is. So we start by acknowledging what the customer's done, just by asking them, saying, sir, man, folks, we know that you've been shopping, and in the shopping and buying process, we realize people are in different stages. What stage are you in? What are you looking to accomplish today? And how can I assist you in making that happen today? So just acknowledging all the information that they gathered before they got to you makes them feel much better. And that's just one simple thing that you need to do up front, so you're not making people upset by trying to force them through something that they've already done.
Okay, absolutely. And so, Mark, I mean, you wrote this 15 years ago, and you had the foresight to say, hey, it was broken then. I mean, that's amazing. So, I mean, today, I mean, in an internet age, in a time where, obviously, obviously we've got people that literally say it's dead, it needs to go away. Obviously you said it's not dead, we don't need to take it that far. I mean, isn't it that much more broken? Isn't it that much more in need of construction?
I think so, just because of the fact that you can't just do it 1 through whatever. You can't go in a linear approach as much as what you used to, because you have to listen to the customer. And one of the biggest things I want to stress is there's a big push to make the sales process quicker, which I do believe we have to do. But don't forget that we have to make it transformational, not transactional. Mm-hmm. If you're not making it transformational, it will be transactional, and then it's going to be just about how fast they can get in and out of the door with the cheapest price. Right. And you're not going to sell a whole lot. So it's not just about speed. It's about acknowledging and meeting them where they're at and giving them even a bigger wow factor than what you ever had before.
Yeah, and Danny, I'll pose this question to you. And I think Mark brings up a great point, and I certainly get that part where you want to meet the customer where they're at. We want to know what they've accomplished so we can kind of go from there. But what would you say to those who say, well, I don't want to rely on where the customer has already been? In other words, I want to help create this amazing experience. So for example, if the customer has seen maybe a demo online and they're going by that, well, they haven't seen your demo. Maybe you can bring out some things in that vehicle to add value that the customer hasn't seen yet. Mm-hmm. So what do you say to that, Danny?
I would agree. There are, I want to stop for a second and tell you that when you were making examples, David Cribbs, about getting to the finance office before certain things happen, or not knowing that the car had a CD player. I think you're exactly right. And, I agree with you on 90% of things you say, that, there are certain things that need to be done before someone goes to the finance office. There are steps in there or processes or hot points that need to be done. You need to find out their name. You need to know about them. You have to establish relationships. Yes, they do need to drive the vehicle in 99% of the cases. There are some people that are buying cars without test drives. That number is actually increasing over the last 2 or 3 years. But those steps do need to be followed. So there is a road to the sale. What Mark is saying is what I said last week, is that we have to be cognizant of where the customer is at. Because when you start reading on millennials, and, people are just up to here with figuring out how to market to millennials. But I'm telling you, this generation is coming. They're in a hurry. They're impatient. They don't want to, they don't want to go back and start doing things they've already done. So if we go and enforce our will on these people and start them over, and they get bored, or it's repetitive, or this thing's taking too long, you're going to lose them quicker that way than anything. So I agree with what Mark said, and Mark would agree also. There are certain things that have to be done every time someone comes in. And if you want to call those steps to the sale, the road to the sale, I think you can call them what you want, but there are necessities there. But the people's, like we said last week, the buying process is changing and evolving. Mm-hmm. And for us to sit there and not change and evolve along with it, I think is short-sighted.
Well, let me ask Jared a question, because, Jared, I know you're an advocate for the road to the sale, and a couple of weeks ago, Danny was on as well, and there were 2 other guys. I think Jonathan was on, and Joe Webb, and Joe was like, it's dead, it needs to be destroyed, and I know you were disagreeing with that. But let me ask you a question, Jared, and because Danny and Mark both brought up a good point here, but unless I'm mistaken, in the 20 years that I've been in the auto industry, to me, it's always been more like it's not just about some steps, but it's more about a leading through a sales process. Like in other words, it's about the sale, and it's sometimes it's kind of a blueprint, if you will. And so, mm-hmm. Jared, with that being said, I mean, we hear a lot about Danny's talking about millennials, and people always say that when they're coming and they're here, but I mean, they're people. So I guess my question is, on the flip side of the coin, those that would say, look, they need to be sold, and we're abandoning, the ability to sell, and we're leaving things out, and we're cutting corners. We're abandoning process. I mean, Jared, what do you say about that? And I mean, do you think it really matters how old someone is, or what do you say? Weigh in on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to tell you, it's how you create the sales experience for the customer on the road to the sale. And I think, and I've always said this, it's how the salesperson is able to navigate the customer not only through the buying process, but also the service process. After they purchase the vehicle, the best tool and the best thing a salesperson can do is navigate through the dealership to make their buying experience or service experience easy. And it's kind of interesting. Last week, that's what we were talking about as far as following the road to the sale and meeting the customer at the steps and going through and serving that customer's need. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, what you want them to do is be excited and pumped up and be excited about that new car through the road to the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And Mark, I'm going to ask you this, because when you talked about meeting the customer where they are, I think sometimes, people confuse the road to the sale. We talked about the steps, and, we don't always have to say, hey, now you have to go to step 2. Now you have to go to step 3. I think, though, that a savvy salesperson that understands the sales process and understands that it's really, in my opinion, more for the customer's benefit than your own, a savvy salesperson can take a customer that wants to come in and go to a certain point right away, can go ahead and meet them there, but also kind of still tackle the things that need to be tackled in the road to sale. For example, someone calls in or comes in and they want to go straight to price. I don't need to drive the car. I've already driven it the whole 9 yards. Want to go into F&I from there, whatever the case may be. Hey, that's great. You've come to the right place. We can certainly help you with that. Sit right down, accommodate the customer initially, do everything that the customer is asking for, provide that. And as we walk through that sales process, then we take them back into our steps in a natural way. For example, if you have someone that that has refused to drive the car or feels very confident that they don't need to drive the car, they know exactly what they want, and they're ready to go into F&I. How about creating a final inspection of the car, a final physical inspection of the car prior to actually finalizing the paperwork in F&I? That would give a chance for the salesperson to do a quick walk around and maybe even a drive around the block so the customer has at least experienced that. What say ye, Mark Tewart?
I believe you're 100% right that all the steps of the sale will eventually get done 99% of the time. But just remember the concept of TLC, think like a customer. And if the customer is talking about something, you have to acknowledge them first. The best example I could give you is, what if I went into a restaurant and you walked over to the server and you said, "Can I get your drink order?" And I said, "Well, I'm actually ready to order as well." And you said, "No, I want your drink order." What do you think I would do as a customer? You should acknowledge what I'm saying to you. And so if you're TLC thinking like a customer, you'll still get everything done that you want, but you have to agree with originally and acknowledge a customer. As a matter of fact, I even use a little technique called a common enemy where I'll share with the customer, I'll say, "Folks, let me ask you a kind of a different question. Have you ever had a bad experience shopping or buying a car?" And usually they'll say yes. And I said, "Well, I'm glad you said that. Me too." And all customers have felt that exact same way. And what I want to do is this. I want to be a customer concierge, a buyer's concierge. If you ever stayed at a nice hotel, they take care of you. They make sure you have no pitfalls, that everything is extremely easy. And because you and most people have had a bad experience before, as that buyer's concierge, I'm going to eliminate all that for you today. I'm going to help you get the right car, the right price, all your information, and I just want to make this fun, pleasurable, and easy. Is that fair enough? And let me tell you, that really goes a long way to acknowledging, listening, and performing TLC.
Yeah, I love that statement. And Danny, going back over to you, Danny.
Okay.
Well, I'm watching people
ahead,
dialogue here. I mean, and it's all over the place. But here, why is this such, Danny? I guess I'm just going to throw it out here. Let's take the gloves off and let's just have like a discussion because this is what people are saying all through Twitter and so forth. I mean, it's obviously someone walks in. It's never going to get to the place where someone walks in the car business. I've always said this, only simply because the only way a human being needs a car is if their car explodes. If their car blows up and absolutely disintegrates into dust, they need a car, right? I mean, if your car has rust on it, if your car is ugly as heck, if you had a 1975 Pinto, it doesn't matter. You don't need a car. You want a car, right? And so it's an emotional decision. And it's an expensive emotional decision that people don't take lightly. My question is, they're never going to walk into the dealership like Walmart and go, "Hey, I'll take one of those." That doesn't happen all the time. They're shop, and they're going to take their time. And so there's a road. But, why are people making such a big deal about it? I mean, millennials are humans, baby boomers are humans. Every generation are humans. They have emotions. Talk about why this is a hot topic. Talk about where this is really going. You're a big player and believer of not being general. So,
yeah. Well, I think one of the challenges is that baby boomers, millennials, all these different generations. The reason that let's say market different to all these people is because their behaviors are different. Their buying behaviors are different. They do things differently. I was just on another webinar earlier today that was talking about showrooming. That didn't exist in the baby boomer's life, where a person is sitting in your showroom with their smartphone up, shopping other dealerships and seeing what other places offer. So they have a shorter attention span. They expect the experience to be different at the dealership than people in other areas. So I think what Mark is saying and what I'm saying, and I really think the majority of people say, is that we have to adjust and we have to be a little more nimble. There are specifics, and David, Chris, you hit on exactly. There are things that really need to be done, and they do need to drive the vehicle. If you want to call it a test drive, which I advocate not calling it ever a test drive, but if it's an inspection or a quality check or whatever, then yes, because they have to drive it, and they have to do, David Villa, those things like smell the leather, understand what it feels like, think about that time that they're going to go show the vehicle to someone, or who they're going to show it to, or where they're going on their first trip, or hearing the purr of the motor. Those are the things that get people excited. And you're right. If people ever start buying cars only when they need to, then none of us are going to be on the show. We're not going to have jobs. You're not going to have the show. And we're going to see a world full of old minivans. And so we have to, I mean, those are functional. And, I mean, if you just have to have something, you might as well have a big ugly rig that you can haul.
Hey, Danny, it's funny, though, as far as, but real quick, as far as wanting to have something, I was on the phone with a client, a Fiat client today in Texas. We do a lot of Fiat studios, and they were referred to in a subprime in the subprime program, a lead program we do. And this Fiat general manager told me, he said, man, he goes, look, we have other stores here. He goes, I do not get paid on any used cars on anything, so I will not sell them anything other than a Fiat. And he told me this. He goes, and subprime doesn't work. He said those subprime people would rather walk than drive a Fiat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, how bad your credit has to be to drive one, really. But that's a great, you bring up a point, not to interrupt you, that's hilarious, but you bring up special finance. Mm-hmm. If you have a sales process that's fixed, you better not work your special finance people that way. And you wouldn't work them that exact same way, the same way you wouldn't work maybe a millennial. Somebody comes in with 3 electrical devices and they have 15 quotes for 15 stores. You better start getting right down to the brass tacks, and you may have to adapt and change and figure out where they're at. And I made the story last week about hitchhiking in between 2 towns and asking the person picking you up to take you back to the place you started, because that's what I'm used to doing. You have to kind of get in where they're at. And so we just need to be nimble, teach the basics, the fundamentals. You get somebody that comes in and they start saying, hey, I've seen this car online. We know it's what we want. We want to get down to business, so on and so forth. What we teach people to do is we talk about the vehicle that they're driving. Oh, my gosh, is that an 07 Mustang? What kind? Oh, yeah. Well, can I go take a look at it? We've really been looking for some of those. And then get them over into that comfort circle. I call it the 20-foot comfort circle around the trade, and start talking to find out I want them to find out 3 things: how they bought it, how they used it, and why they're trading it. And then you start finding things out about them. You find out how they bought that car. You find out how they paid for that car, memories they had in that car. And now you're starting to talk about emotions. You're getting really good information that's going to help you when you go back to negotiate. And you've diverted them off of this all-business approach, and we're talking about something that's familiar to them. It evokes emotion. And to what you're saying, David, this is an emotional experience. So the sooner we can take the business end out and instill emotion and start getting that want and desire, the better off we're going to be. But it's individual. I mean, the different people that come in. So we have to train with a breadth of knowledge as well as a depth. We have to be more versatile and nimble because there are more diverse habits in the way that people look and buy. And therefore, our training has to be more diverse.
That's a great point.
And
it comes down to training.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what I hear Danny saying is literally you'd have to have word tracks. I mean, you'd have to have 50 roads. You'd have to have a book of roads. Depending on if a subprime person walks in, depending on this person walks in. Yeah. Oh, that's a millennial. Oh, that person's really educated. Or hey, that person's this. I mean, you'd have to have like a book of roads. And the reality is, I mean, you need training, Mark. Right? I mean, you need training.
I think he's going to say yes.
I mean, well, you do.
Yeah, there's a road. There's a road to the sale. You're right. And like I said last week, and I said something pretty profound by accident. But it is the road to the sale isn't that much different. There's just a whole lot more on-ramps and on-ramps now. People are getting onto that road and off that road at breakneck speed. We just need to be prepared. We need people that are more personal, more emotional, more versatile, people that can think conceptually about the sale. Because I don't want someone that says, I've done step 1, I must now do step 2. They need to understand the concept of where we're going, and that they may have to come onto that road at a different spot, and they need to be able to adapt. And that's not just training. It's hiring the right kind of people with the right kind of culture, creating a culture at your dealership. If you want to just scrap everything we talk about, the number one thing people can do in this industry is train your people and train them constantly and never, ever stop. It's the biggest problem in our car business is that we don't train and then we try to hold people accountable for stuff we didn't teach them.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. And, that's one of my fears. Then I'm going to pose this question to Mark because, as we evolve in the showroom floor and we rely on all these different tools and we've gotten away from maybe that rigid, this is step one, this is step two kind of deal. Are we also at the same time emasculating our sales force a little bit? I mean, do they have the skills when it really comes down to, being savvy and being able to rely on those basics to move the sale forward?
Usually not, and it's not their fault. We have to recruit, hire, train, and retain better people. It's been our Achilles heel in this industry forever. And we have to recruit people that can think on their feet instead of barking at them, sitting at a desk saying, you got to do step one, step two, step three. And, of course, we're going to do all those, but we need people, like Danny said, that can think not just linearly, but conceptually, and give them the ideas of what to do when that customer comes in and is pretty adamant that they've done a lot of research or they want to do this, they want to start at step 4. Instead of barking at them and saying, that's not the way we do it. Well, guess what? That's the way the customer's telling you they want to do it. Mm-hmm. And if we're not CLC thinking like a customer, if we're not training all the time, I know we talk about training in this industry, but let's just face it. Come on. The reality is the customers have trained way harder than we have, and now they're ahead of us, and shame on us. Shame on us as an industry because we spend a fortune in advertising. We talk about digital and everything else. But we do not enough to take care of the people that we hire and train them and educate them to give them a chance to succeed. And I'm not talking about one dealership. I'm talking about the industry as a whole.
Jared, what do you feel about that in the training standpoint? I mean, do we have enough training in the car business today?
Well, I got to tell you, training is very important, and my thing would be, where's the salesperson at? Where's the salesperson at where their drive is to go ahead and take that proactive approach and say, hey, listen, I need this training myself, whether the dealership's providing it or not, because I need to be prepared. Like you guys said, I mean, on the internet, there's so much information out there. There's all kinds of different ways customers are coming to the dealership. And as a salesperson, you need to be like a chameleon. You know what I mean? You got to be able to adjust to any situation, environment, to be able to handle that. So could people train more? Of course, we could all train more, you know what I mean? But it's a matter of how driven that salesperson, is. I mean, every day, man, I've been in this business 16 years. It seems like I'm like, man, every day I'm training, I'm going after this, I'm doing this, I mean, and where's that, downtime? But to be great, you need to do that. They talk about, read an article about Jeremy Pivens the other day, who's been an actor for 20 years, Ari Gold, right? And they say, hey, he's an overnight success. Well, it's 20 years of training and doing his craft and making that happen. So, to be successful, it just takes sustained training. So you got to do it.
Yeah, I've also found that the best trained people and the people that are in training positions that are really knocking it out of the park, they seek more training than anyone else, even at their level. In other words, the more they get trained, the more they feel they need to be trained.
Yeah, and we have a couple minutes, and I'm going to give you guys all, I'm going to kind of say this, and I'll give in order of Mark, Danny, and Jared a chance to close out and give final comments. But I did a sales training on Periscope this morning called Fuel Selling versus Process Selling. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up is that Jared, hit it on the head. I mean, that salespeople, hey, look, whether I need it or not, I need to be doing this. And I agree with that. If I were, if I didn't own a company and so forth, I provide that for our salespeople, then I would definitely be doing that myself. I do myself in that. I get online, I pay for training myself and sharpen my skills. But let me ask you guys this. I mean, as an owner of a dealership, I was talking to somebody this past week, a lot of people, regarding the last couple of weeks' show. And Mark, in your closing remarks, comment on this. Because we were talking about personal branding, Danny, you were, the personal branding, and some of these guys were like, hey, be a rogue and this and that. And I started looking at that, and I said, well, we have this superstar, that there's training that all salespeople are going to be rock stars. Some of the trainers that are out there train as if everyone's going to be a freaking rock star. And that's just not the case. There are more talented people or more ambitious or just people that are going to go after it more. But process is really the key. And so as an owner of a company, going back to dealerships, as an owner of a dealership, doesn't it benefit them, even if Jared is willing to do it on his own, it means he's going to be successful. But if we're trying to better the car business, shouldn't we invest our resources in training the right way for our entire team so that the high caliber and the mediocre caliber are all going to be equally equally sharp? I mean, Mark, is that a valid point? I mean, do you see that every day in your travels? I mean, owners that either do or don't, and the importance of investing in that?
I'll give you two things. Number one, the highest ROI that you will ever get in anything is what you invest in people. 6% of the success equation, at least, is your people, because out of those 4 P's that everybody talks about, people, process, product, and positioning, none of the other 3 happen without the people, and they have to be educated as to what they do. The best of the best have to be educated to get there. And then number 2, I'll leave you with, as far as what Jared said, and he's so right, that I tell people all the time, don't wait for anybody to educate you. Yes, they should, but don't wait. And I'll leave you with Jim Rohn's quote, one of the best quotes I've ever heard in my life, and I've always remembered it. Jim said that a college education can get you a job, but self-education can make you rich.
Like it.
Mr. Danny Benitez?
Yes. On the same subject?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I'll just echo what Mark says. First of all, I didn't know Mark was going to be on this call, and I'm going to tell you right now, if there's people out there that keep training, Mark's the guy. It's funny, when we first met, and this is just going to be quick, when I listened to his processes, they were so in line with my way of thinking from the very, very beginning. At first, I accused him of stealing my material, and then he accused me of stealing his material. But he just has a brass tacks, real-world approach, and it's non-confrontational, and it's conversational. It's just very, very natural. So I'm going to echo on what he said, and whether you use him or not, whatever. But spend the money that you're spending on advertising and doing other things, on training your people. It's going to return you tenfold, like he said. And we train every day. And if you ask everybody in this dealership who trains the most in this dealership, and when I say trains most, who seeks and reads and takes training and watches video most in this dealership, it would be unanimous, and they would say Danny Benitez. I study and read more than anyone in this dealership, times 10, and I do the training. But the reason I do that is for the reasons that we've talked about. I have to stay on top of what's going on. I have to stay on top of what people are doing and how they're reacting, so that I can adjust the message that I take to my people, and we can keep them understanding conceptually what's going on in the buyer's eyes and how people are shopping and buying and making decisions. So the people that are out here that are responsible for training, you need to be doing training yourself, because you can find yourself training people on old tactics. It's the lazy way, and you start telling them to do all these things that nobody's doing anymore. But if you're learning and you're teaching something that's topical and that people are doing now, I think you're doing yourself a service. And don't pretend you know how to do it. If you can bring someone in like Mark, or a professional that understands what they're doing, you'll make your money back tenfold.
Yeah, agreed. And Jared?
You got it, man. I mean, the car business is such an awesome opportunity that's available for salespeople. And just like I was saying, I mean, training is amazing, and really when you get back down to it, when the customer, I love what you said earlier, TLC. I mean, I've never, heard that concept before, but TLC, think like a customer. If you put yourself in their shoes, that concept, and, it all goes to their emotional level. Hey, how exciting it is. Not everybody can buy this brand new car and have this opportunity. And that's really, the feel of the wheel seals the deal, where they're pumped up, they're excited, and they benefit from your product when they do business with you. So, I mean, all the above just, and again, with training, allows you to be in your best game, just like I think somebody's talking about athletes, talking about all these athletes getting ready for these championships and what they put their bodies through and what they do just to be the best. And I think we all, at the end of the day, want to be the best at whatever we're doing.
Absolutely. Well said, man. Guys, thank you for joining us today. And make sure you guys weigh in on Twitter as you are. Make sure you thank Danny, Mark, and Jared. Real quick, guys, Mark, how can someone find you?
You can go to my website at tewart.com, ART.com. That's just like Stewart, but no S. Stewart.com, or you can go to my Twitter at Mark Stewart.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. How can someone find you?
On Twitter, it's Danny_Benitez, or at Danny_Benitez, or DannyBenitez.com.
And if they want to come visit you, what's the name of the prison?
Yes, we have to schedule visitation time.
Oh, okay. All right, Jared, how can someone find you, sir?
You got it, man. I'm on Twitter, man. Feel free to reach out to me at FL Ford Salesman, kind of like Florida Ford Salesman, but FL Ford Salesman. So I'd be happy to help you in any way I can.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah, you guys brought it today.
Yeah.
What a great conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank
You bet.
you.
Thanks, guys.
I got an address here. I think it's Ed Brooks. I'm seeing it on Twitter here. Ed, I don't know if you're I didn't see part of it, so I don't want to comment too much. But he said, screw bettering the car business, better yourself. I got to disagree. I'd love to have Ed on the show. But here's the thing. I always am bettering myself. But if I'm serving the car business and my job and my company relies on the fact that dealers have money and continue to be in business, then I want to better the car business because it allows me to, I get the dominate thing, and I'm in on that to a degree. Dominate your competitors, dominate maybe your space. But my personal belief is, for the greater purpose. So that's just my 2 cents in there. I don't think you're a communist. I see you said you're not a communist on there, and Jim was retweeting. But anyway.
Someone asked me my goal about 25 years ago in the car business. I said, I'm going to change the way people buy cars worldwide.
I want to better myself. I want to better myself.
I haven't made it yet, Dave.
I want to better myself. What and everything. You know what? Honestly, man, I don't just want to better the car business. That's just 1/5. Or I'm sorry, 1/20th of what I do. Mm-hmm. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father.
Come on.
I want to be better, and so I got my hands in 4 or 5 different kind of businesses. So I want to better the car business because of IPD and the 50 employees that work here. But I also want to better, be better at several things. And so therefore, if I'm better and I better myself, I do agree with Ed. Listen, if I better myself, then guess what? All of those areas are going to be better that I'm impacting. I want to be so good and better myself so good that they're better because of it.
Yeah. Well, if you're bettering yourself in those areas, you're going to be a lot more effective, for example, on the car lot. If you have an amazing home life, odds are you're going to be more effective on the lot.
Absolutely.
So,
Ed, you have a standing invitation, man, to come on the show. I'd love to get you on sometime. We've reached out to you a couple times, and be a good dialogue, though. All right. And, hey, man, we're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. The next up on Auto Dealer Live is Marsh Bice, General Sales Manager, Mark Chrysler Dodge Jeep. You do not want to miss Sales Diamonds. Marsh is coming. He's the next up, and he's right around the corner. But stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a moment.
In the Central Highlands of Africa, a common response to when somebody says, "Good morning, how are you?" a common response is to say, "I see you." Now think about that for a moment. What if the next time one of your salespeople, when they say, "Good morning, how are you?" that you, whether verbally or mentally, say, "I see you"? You see, that's a totally different connotation, isn't it? You see, as managers and as leaders, we're busy. We're busy rushing around through the day. We're so busy trying to save the deal that's rolling out the front door. We're busy trying to prevent last night's deal from rolling back. We're fielding service heat. Or we're trying to explain to a customer why their $2,500 warranty won't cover a certain repair. As managers, I understand we're busy. And we're so busy trying to put together a day, a month, a quarter, a year, that we're losing sight of our most valuable asset, which is our salespeople. You see, we take time to notice the negatives. We notice when they show up late for a meeting. We notice when they walk a customer. We notice when they come to the desk and a customer, it's not an optimal deal, and so we just shred it apart within seconds. The very fact that they worked for an hour to finally drag that customer inside, we take time long enough to notice that you have no deal and shred it apart. We notice when the last deal just didn't come together for them like they expected. And we notice so long that we just slap them on the back. We take 3 seconds, slap them on the back and say, "Hey, go get you another up." That's all we do is we just notice. But we don't truly see our salespeople. You see, seeing is totally something different. You see, when you see somebody, you perceive that something's not quite right. You discern that their personal lives are troubled. You understand that they're fearful of not being able to pay their mortgage. And you visualize that they're heading in the wrong direction. Managers glance, but leaders see. And my question to you is, which are you? You see, as leaders, we see when they've lost their fight. We see when they're unorganized, when they're scared or frustrated, when they're weary, when they're out on the lot but they're not in the fight, when their body language screams that they've lost their confidence. We see when they're skipping the process. We see when their demos, write-ups, sold, and delivery percentages aren't right. We see those things. We see when things are trending downward. And because we see it, because we perceive, discern, understand, and visualize, we're able to get involved very early. We're able to get them back on track. When something doesn't go quite right with the customer, you see and get involved and say, hey, here's what you need to do next time. We see them so we can help them get organized, both in the beginning and the end of their day. We see when they've lost confidence and we say, hey, you're going to be able to do everything you need to do this month. You're going to be able to pay your bills and then some. We see the fact and tell them that, hey, I believe in you. Those are the kind of things, because understand this, high, low, or no expectations, your salespeople are going to live up to the bar that you set. If you have no expectations of your salespeople, they're going to live up to that. But if you have high expectations and you help see them to those expectations, they will strive to attain those things. Now understand this, your salespeople see you too. And so they see the fact that you take 2-hour lunches. They see the fact how you talk about others when they're not in the room. They see the fact that you shred their deals to pieces. That the very thing that you preach that they cannot ask, you do. As soon as they come to the desk, you want to know what's their credit score, how much money down, what do they owe on the trade, what do they want for their payments. See, they see those things. They see the fact that you have the preach, the do whatever you got to do, stay late and grab that last up. But you preach that so much, but when they're out there trying to get a deal late at night, you're the first one to turn off half the dealership lights. You got your demo pulled up closest to the building with it running, and you're rushing them through the process. You see, your salespeople see that. Your salespeople see the fact when you've given up on them. But that's okay, because you know what? They gave up on themselves a long time ago. Seeing literally is believing, because those who see do, while the rest of the people say, but they sit. Don't ever glance at your people, the very people who got you to where you are today. They saw something in you and helped get you to where you are today. Now it's up to you to see them, to help them get to where they need to be. They see you. Now I need you to go see them. Until next time, I'm Marsh Bice, and I'll see you on the blacktop.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
And we're back.
We're back.
The road back from commercial.
Which road?
The road that leads back to the... You know what? I don't know. Step one, the music cues.
Step two,
Mike is waving
Mike
his
puts
hand.
his hand up in the air.
Erratically.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, step two, he puts his hand in the air.
Yeah.
Step three, he erratically waves his hand because we're still talking.
Right.
Step four, he begins to do jumping jacks to get our attention, and we put our headsets on just in time to say we're
Right.
back.
That's kind of like a payment close.
There's the road. It's back. So I still don't have a clear picture, man, on the road to the sale. As a sales, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, right out of college, started selling car dealers, but I've never sold cars. I've always sold car dealers, but this is all I've done. As far as my
Well, I can
professional-
tell you unequivocally that you would rock the house in the car lot.
Thank you, man.
Had you gone that direction.
Well, thank you. But I mean, my thing is when I hear the road to this, I mean, I obviously know, but I hear it, I can't help but put my sales hat on.
Sure.
And just think that it's like a process. It's like it's like 4 steps to the sale or 5 steps to the. I mean, it's not like you read a script anyway,
Yeah.
and it's not like you're married to something in front of you. If a person is walking out of the door, you don't go, well, hold on, number 5.
Right.
I mean, it's
I've said it a million times. I mean, the parallels of what you do out here in the sales team and the sales force are just amazing. That's why, quite frankly, it's so easy for me to plug in to the sales team and train because the parallels are unbelievable.
That's great, man.
Social sales.
I tell you what, man. Mark and Danny and Jared were awesome, and Marsh, man, what an incredible talent Marsh Bice is. Check out Dealer Solutions magazine. Is hitting dealerships as we speak. I believe it's in some dealerships now, but it's hitting this week. And Marsh has a featured article in the magazine. You can also go to dealersolutions.com.info, and you can check all the articles for the last year. In there as well. So remember that today's tweeter leader, #AutoDealerLive, is not only going to win swag and some swag pack, Auto Dealer Live swag, but we're also going to give you a featured article in the month of August for Dealer Solutions magazine. That's huge.
That's not just huge. I mean, that's ginormous. I mean, you're first of all, you're going to be an author in a published magazine, but more importantly, that's getting in front of 10,000 dealerships across 12,000 across the U.S. That is
we've
huge.
had 2,000 dealers subscribe to 2,000 subscriptions in online.
Plus, we're going to promote it on social media, our sites, Twitter, Facebook, all those.
So we've had about 2,000 people subscribe to receive the magazine at their dealership in the last just few months. So we're up to 12,000. But I'll tell you this, and not only that, we'll send you copies of it. So it's just something really cool that you can keep. And like Dave said, you're published at that point. And so make sure you get on Twitter and let's blow it up. You still have some time. Today's contest will end at 5:30. We're gonna be, man. I'll tell you what, I'm excited about today's Get Your Social On.
Oh yeah, me too.
Amanda and Aaron are going to rock the house.
Girls are back.
They are back. You know what? And it's amazing in how well they're doing. We want to thank the ladies up north and the dual embryo. And so the next up is Amanda and Aaron Ryan.
Get your social on.
Get your what?
Get your social on, man. Show. Come on.
We'll be right back.
Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on.
Hi, friendly face. Glad to see you. Welcome to Get Your Social On. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Amanda Ryan.
And today we are going to talk about should employees leave reviews? Should they? That's a good question. I mean, we've noticed a lot of dealerships have internal reviews.
And they probably question if they should be doing it or not, right? A lot put out there that it's really good to work at this dealership. And it makes you wonder, should they be doing that or not?
Should they? Well, here's the moment of truth. No. No. Short answer. No. The thing is that reviews are meant for people who don't have any bias intentions. They're for people who actually bought and experienced your dealership.
I mean, to sum it all up, reviews belong to your customers.
Exactly.
That's their moment in time to share their experience at your dealership. And it's also for potential customers to go look. Now, if they're going there and they're seeing that it's great to work there, that has no relevancy.
They don't care.
They really don't care what it's like to work there. Well, they want to know what it's like to do business there, and they want to see what your customers are saying. Now, if you go ahead and you leave a review and you work there, you're ultimately pushing down other reviews.
Exactly. And you got to think about it. With any type of review site, there's an algorithm. And if you put a positive review, sure, that's going to push it up. But what is it doing for you? Is it really working for you? Because let's be honest, and we've talked about it in the past in regards to reviews, a negative review is what people really search for. They're not looking for that positive review, and they're certainly not looking for it from your employee.
Now, they are looking for a response. So even though we say they are looking for that negative review, you don't want to just sit with a negative review. You want to make sure there's response by the dealership or via the dealership, because they're looking for that interaction, that communication, that connection. And what you also have to think about too is that if you didn't like working at the dealership, you probably wouldn't be working there. So everybody kind of already knows that you like the dealership.
And it's seen as being skewed. Today's world, customers are internet savvy. They know what's happening, going on. They're doing the research. They're leaving their reviews all over the place. So when it comes to social networks or review sites, they're actually knowing how to use them. So if you don't know how to use them properly and it's coming across as, hey, get your employees to start talking about your dealership in a positive manner, it's not going to work in your favor. In fact, you want to make sure that if you want your employees involved, why don't you get them to go and like up the positive comments that customers have left? And therefore, more positive reviews will be pushed up into that algorithm, and you still don't look like you're kind of playing the game here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look like that you're customer-centered instead of dealership-centered. And sometimes when you just go and you post random, like, it's so great to work here, best employee ever, the best dealership to work at, that it sometimes can come across spammy, for one. And number two,
fake.
It's all about you.
Yeah, and it comes across fake, ingenuine.
And you don't want that. You want to have the world of the wild web open to your customers, and let them have the freedom and the ability to leave customer reviews for you all over the web, and you monitor and manage it. And that's the important key here, is that
you play by the rules.
Yes.
You understand that reviews are meant for customers, and if you want to be the employee to respond to reviews, then have at it. If you want your employees involved in the review process, have them like the comments or the reviews, or share positive reviews if that's an option, but definitely don't leave reviews. And here's 2 super important reasons, if we haven't given you enough.
I know.
Employees should not leave reviews at your dealership. Well, number 1, we talked about it. Customers and potential customers don't like it.
Right. It's just seen as almost impolite, because it's like, that's our area as a customer. I come here to search for other customers to see how well the business is, customer service.
And think about it.
All I'm seeing is how great it is to work there. Well, that doesn't matter to any customer. The only person that, you always have to think about this. What audience are you targeting? Whenever you're doing anything on social, right? So the only audience you're targeting with these employee reviews, where your customer reviews should be, are potential employees or current employees or past employees.
And that's what sites like LinkedIn are for. It's not meant for, your customer review spaces. You got to keep in mind that customers just look down. They just look down at it. They're just like, who are they fooling? And they kind of feel like you're trying to fool them. They are looking for other customer reviews. So you got to keep that in mind. And, importantly, we have to state that when you have a customer leave a review, you're actually doing it right. When you have an employee leave a review, you're actually skewing your reviews.
Right. Because you have to also think about not just the text part of it, but the star rating part of it. Like if you're getting a 4.5 out of 5 and majority of your reviews are left by employees, that's not real. That's not real. And you have to be careful with that because I can't even tell you how important reviews are when it comes to keeping customers, gaining customers, and communicating with your customers. Because when you have positive reviews, you need to respond to those too. Negative ones to try to resolve any outstanding issues,
taking it offline,
and the invisible audience of that potential customer coming in to look at those reviews and to see if that's going to help them with their buying decision. Right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what reviews are for, is to help externally for customers to make a buying decision, that buy or purchase. And negative reviews, they can be a positive turnaround if you have those responses.
And it's also a great way to gauge your online reputation.
That's what I mean. Yeah, internally it's good too.
Exactly. It's not, it's that the 5-star ratings and the positives and keeping track of what you receive and, even who at the dealership is getting the most reviews and so on and so forth. I mean, it is such a great way to see how well your company is perceived. And if it's perceived in not such a positive light, then you can turn it around. And if it's all full of employee reviews, it's skewed. It's not helpful.
You're not doing anything to help yourself. That's
so stay away from it.
All right, so here's your opportunity to reach out to us via Twitter, #GYSO, or you can tweet at me at the Erin Ryan,
at Amanda Shares,
or together at GYSO Addicts. Let us know. Be a social shout out here on the show. We'd love to give a shout out to you for personal branding. We'd love to give you a shout out for your dealership, for branding, period. So if you want that, tweet at us. Anyone, #GYSO, and we'd be happy to give you a social shout out next week on Get Your Social On. If you want to get caught up on all of the topics we've talked about in the past year in regards to digital marketing, you can go to wikimotive.com/GYSO. That's where we're from. We're from the internet marketing company, Wikimotive. Also, if you want to connect with us on Facebook, if Twitter's not your thing, you can do that.
We have a Facebook group.
We do. Facebook.com/groups/GYSO. We see that we need to be welcoming some new people, so don't think we haven't noticed you. We're going to be giving you that warm, fuzzy welcome that we do to all of our members. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next week, friends, get your social on.
Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on.
All right, we're back, and we want to give a quick shout out to William McCormick. He's in Charleston, West Virginia at the Burt Wolf Automotive Group. Today is his 7-year birthday in the car business, man. Happy birthday, William McCormick, man. He's a regular listener to the show. We want to give him a special shout out, man. We're going to send you some stuff too, William. Hey, make sure on Twitter, direct message us your address, and we're going to send you some cool swag for your birthday there, man. But congratulations.
That's awesome. Hey, Dave, what did you think about Jared Drake's quote of the day? The feel of the wheel will seal the deal.
The feel of the wheel.
I like that.
Will seal the deal.
I haven't heard that before in all the short time I've been in the car business.
It made me, I wonder before he said that quote, if he said this one, the toke of the smoke will cause you not to choke. I don't know. That sounded kind of like I don't know what Jared was doing.
Oh,
the feel of the wheel.
The feel of the wheel will seal the deal.
All right.
Jared Drake.
Well, man, what a great show, man. The road to the sale is not dead. We found out it's alive and well. I can tell you that's an overwhelming opinion. However, we have probably more roads and more opinions than we did when we started the show. And honestly, man, I think it's good. All
Hey,
of
man,
them.
This is great dialogue. It's great dialogue for car people. I loved it.
Hey,
Great show today.
We've got some great shows coming up in the next month. We have In Retrospect. I mean, you do not want to miss In Retrospect. It's next week, right, Mike? In Retrospect is next week. Now, listen, let me just tell you, the next up is In Retrospect. I got to tell you a little bit about this show because think back in the last couple of years, okay, of all of the most controversial, entertaining, and incredibly tantalizing shows.
Tantalizing, brother.
Tantalizing shows, guests that we've had on the show. I'm talking about, you just let your mind go, all right? And we're going to bring these people on next week. I mean, it's going to be a big one. Honestly, we're going to have to probably grow out of the studio just simply because the egos are going to be involved on the show. But here's what's cool about that. We're going to bring up and say, in retrospect, okay, this is what you said. These are some of the comments that we received. In retrospect, do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. In retrospect, next week on Auto Dealer Live, you don't want to miss that show. We've got the Great American Automotive Panel week after next. And we're going to talk about, is direct mail dead? No, we're not going to be on the show. We're going to be on the show, but we're not going to be doing it. We're going to interview a couple of people, and we want to talk about direct mail dead. We've got Women Who Rock Auto. We're going to have some of the leading ladies in the car business, Dave, coming on. I mean, we got show after show coming up. If you're interested and you think you have what it takes to jump on Auto Dealer Live and get into a panel, then let us know. We'd love to interview you and talk to you about some ideas. We've got some brand new segments. We just signed a new sponsor. We've got a brand new segment starting in the month of August. You do not want to miss this. It's incredible, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, we got a couple of new segments coming your way. And then we have Can You Sell Cars Through Social Media coming up.
Yes, we
do. The famous Fran Taylor, the king
but
of prospecting,
we're not just talking about social media marketing. We're talking about selling cars.
Selling cars.
Through social media.
Through social media. Delivering cars through social media.
Wow.
And like I said, Fran Taylor, king of prospecting, will be on that show. And then
my favorite one, by the way. I want you to tell me.
Yeah.
This is idea. This guy's pretty creative. This was his idea as far as the name here and the concept. Talk about this, man.
Well, the next show, or the last show, the next
that we're going to let you know
will be Keep It or Crush It. Keep It or Crush It. We'll be talking about some of our best practices, what to keep, but yet what to throw away. Kind of goes along with that old road to the sale. You know, maybe we need to lose some things that we've done for a long time. So it'll be Keep It or Crush It.
We're going to do a rapid fire style. Remember we talked about we're going to have a rapid fire style.
Rick Reichert's coming on that one, by the way.
Yeah, Rick Reichert, number one CPO dealer in the country, according to Auto Remarketing's Top 100. But, you know, one of the things, we're going to have several on. We're going to talk about Keep It or Crush It, but we're going to do it rapid fire style. So we're going to give them, hey, man, this and this, Keep It or Crush It. And we're going to have them go down the line. It's going to be a lot of great dialogue on this show. Those are just a little taste of what's to come. The next up on Auto Dealer Live. Good show, my friend.
You too, brother. Come on now.
All right, we're going to finish strong here the second half of this month. You guys have a great weekend.